Once upon a time, there was a boy by the name of Day 9 who did his 650th MFing episode of the Day 9 Daily, where we learned to be a better gamer. And this one young boy, I drooled, by the name of Sean. Keep going. By the name of Sean knew there was a question lurking about in the minds of those listening. It went something like this. Now listen, Sean, I know that attacking... I lost my train of thought. Whew. Here's what you're probably thinking. Everything in that last game seemed to go brilliantly for SOS. Cannon rush into warpgate, stargate. Ooh, the expand out canceled. No big deal. Keep building cannons and kill them. Bam. Boom. What happens when things don't go so well with that same sort of opening? I have a game here. Here it is. Here we go. What a disaster that intro was. In the bottom right, we have my probably favorite pro gamer of all time, Li Zedong. Top left, we have SOS, who's nowhere near the dong in terms of my favoritism. Listen, we're admiring SOS's play. I didn't say I wasn't allowed to admire other people. Huh? Huh? Alright, same dang thing. SOS is going to be going for a 13 forge, and why can he do such a thing? Well, I'll tell you. It's a two-player map with an easy cannon rush opportunity. Going pylon cannon on the low ground is particularly brutal on this map. That's why we have the two probes going out, because probe 1 gets scouted. Probe 2, in theory, does not get scouted. Similar looking opening in this game for SOS, though not identical. So there's the scout. There's the pylon that feels pie wrong. And we're going to start seeing the placement really pan out beautifully in a moment here. A couple things to note from SOS's point of view. First and foremost, cannon here right away. Why? Why that? We're going to talk about fancy transitions and all that beautiful, sexy, arousing stuff in just a moment. But in the now, why a cannon? And we didn't have one last game. In last game, our cannon rush was very in his face. Pylon right there in front of the hatchery. Pylon right there, blocking it off for cannons. Zerg is either going to pull drones, and then we know that our front is safe, or he's not going to be pulling drones. He's just going to be waiting, doing nothing, and then we can easily throw down a cannon and wall off there. But in this circumstance, we're doing kind of a slow, sneaky cannon rush. This cannon that's going down right here, this cannon won't be spotted for a while. In fact, SOS kind of wants Jaedong to finish this hatch, or at least have it being constructed as long as possible. It's very possible for Zerglings to simply waltz right by along this line, so kind of a smart play there. Now, a second thing to note, look at this great pylon placement. SOS could have done what I've seen many do, which is build a pylon here and a cannon there. This is much better because think about attacks that are coming from this area. They would easily be able to pick off a vulnerable pylon here. Hell, a queen could march her slow butt down and chip away, pick it off, kill it. This is a much more difficult pylon to engage, and we'll see the second cannon also protect both pylons. Same thought process as before. So here's the great spotting of the Dong, of our Lord of Dong. Cannons cover each other. Both cannons, look at this, create this nice net. I mean, even this side where a queen would want to try to pick away at these two pylons, nope. Photon cannon. Use photon cannon. Nice swing and swang around a roo. Give time a little bit of time to heal. Ooh, the double probe scout. Watcha, watcha, watcha. Second cannon goes down. Probe production is just chilling at 16. Excuse me. Very nice round number. And of course, the cancel leads SOS to pull off his own cancel. And then we see SOS just round out the rest of everything. Chrono Boost instantly goes down. Chrono Boosting on the probes, far more important than any amount of teching. Goodness. Goodness is SOS. He spots the third. Spotting of the third, super critical. Or I should say, of the second. Spotting of a base and keeping track of his bases is super, unbelievably critically important in 1,000,001 frickin' ways, because if there's no base here, or in any which location, then we're getting rushed, and we should chill out. And we should probably still go warpgate in that circumstance as well. Look at how protected these pylons are for that warpgate push. Now, the point of this segment in part 2, to remind any of you who just tuned in, or to remind any of you who have the memory of a goldfish, we're answering the question, SOS is going to follow up aggressively, and then things are not going to go so well from him. How does he recover? How does he plan said thingies out? Now, in the last game, we saw Stalkers make a big appearance. Why no Stalkers in this game? He probably could, but these bases are just going to be joined together with creep very, very easily, so the Stalkers will never really be catching things off creep. So going for a sentry, just beginning to build up that. The early defense is good. Photon cannons, gonna fall. A little bit more difficult to protect. Gas goes down. We still spoke about this idea that, you know, if he's low on bases and we have these forward pylons, let's go warpgate. Look at the chrono boost. Yeah, on the warpgate. Hell yeah. Still trying to build photon cannons to keep these frickin' dang things alive. Jaedong is doing this really cool fast Hydra play. Now, in talking a little bit about the follow-up, we've talked about the idea of him being kind of split up on creep and like this not really being a complete base. But then let's also look at the map. What most people would do is throw down a robo for a pretty fast Colossus to take this base. They'll even go Stargate robo and then some warp gates to take this base. Here's what I like about SOS. He favors the attack with warp gates first, and then backs up later on down the line with these Colossus and Robo style units. So what sort of push? We're going to see SOS really sculpt his push for this position very nicely. We see the Robo facility go down. Again, it's one of the last things to go down. Here's all the warp gates are coming up on in preparation for the third, SOS, just working it down a little bit. Here is the ping from Todd that I was sitting next to at the time, talking about how the pylon on the high ground had just been killed off. If this pylon was on the high ground, it would have been Zealot, 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 Warp in. But again, SOS says, oh, alright, well if you killed off the key pylon here, I'm just going to do a Warp Gate attack at the south side. And we also see Stalkers coming in. Why Stalkers in this circumstance? And not Zealots? Because it will work a little bit better with this follow-up expansion play. Knock down these rocks a little bit better. Hallucinated Phoenix to poach in there and see the Hydralisks. And then SOS can just walk back. And this is one of my favorite moves of the whole game. Yep, there's the Robo, you know, to take the expansion. That's not it. But look at SOS. He pulls up here, and then he pulls up to the top side. He could have been on this side and gone home, but instead he wants to go to this side, and he's going to retreat back up into the expansion. He retreats up and attacks from this side, so his probe can actually be expanding behind it. Really cool. Really, really liked it. Alright, sweet. Schwanky, sweet. We got our Colossus coming. Nice. Thus begins a really long and totally sweet kick-ass process where we get to see SOS pull himself into an absolutely magnificent situation. So, here's what SOS can see. What do we do now? We've already talked about, I'd say, these warpgate units. Ooh, whoops, what's my gameplay? Oops, selected, there we go. So we've seen these units get built in the initial warpgate push. These units are new. Actually, let me back up just a moment. Yeah, so we talked about these units coming up for the early attack to defend this. This robo also makes sense. LOL contaminate, PS. This robo with the range makes sense. Colossus are great on this map. You can plant a Colossus here and shoot down anything that's coming in from here and anything that's coming in down there. It's just a good defensive unit. So what does SOS do next? He's getting upgrades. Twilight Council for more upgrades. But then he also does two wild moves. The first is to morph in more stalkers. Just gets those stalkers out. To do a second push. What? And then he also gets a stargate. SOS loves his stargate plays. He loves his stargate plays. So we want to stop. We want to try to rack our brains. We want to think about what's going on here. Okay, so we've already seen that he has some hydralisks up for some early defense. Okay, cool, good. We have the Colossus up, so we're probably in relatively good shape defensively. What do we lose to? We lose to fast Mutalisk transitions. And in the now, what do we lose to right now? We lose to fast Mutalisk transitions. I think that's it. Maybe weak Roach Hydra pushes? Cool, Stargate definitely helps versus the Muta choice. SOS always gets these Stargates up because, I mean, you think about the utility of Phoenixes versus Air, of the ability to transition into, what the heck are they called? Tempests. There we go. With this really early high sentry count, offensive Phoenixes to just move out and do all the scouting. This means that there's really only one observer that's ever needed. Normally, Protosses are getting like 3 nowadays in almost all matchups. Certainly 2 in this spot. Second Stargate going down. Again, this is going to permit SOS to transition big into Phoenixes or Tempests, and occasionally Void Rays. So we see just this weird attack-focused style. So much of it is just because he can easily recall out at any time, and the other part is just all these hallucinated Phoenixes just going every which way. And look, Warp Prism going to be heading into the main to threaten all sorts of everything. Blink is something we always need. +2 is something we always need. SOS did cancel this because I think he identified that there was no Muta transition coming up, even though Aspire's actually. Oh no, the Spire was canceled. Okay, nice. So what we're seeing right now is no Warpgate units have been warped in for a long time. Just these initial 3 Stalkers to help with these little pokey pushes. The Colossus has been rallied. It's a very attack-positioned move. And then other than that, Stargate tech's gone down. Twilight Council with Blink, Templar Archives, +2. This is an attack-oriented, tech-oriented play. What? Attacking and teching at the same time? No. Certainly not. So SOS, upon sending out many hallucination, all the time, just pulls back. And now you see the gateways going down. Why pull back at a time like this? Because this Warp Prism is going to be the big focus. SOS is going to be staying defensive, chilling back in his base. Notice that he is defended. I'm going to break this up into 2 portions because I think only right now does it make a lot of clear sense what SOS is doing. Oops, I need to pull back to here. Okay, so we did our initial gate push and we saw Hydras. There's one of two broad categories of stuff that can happen. He's either massing up a bunch of units to try to kill us right now. Could be Roach Hydra, could be Muta Transition, something Larry. Or, oops, let me just adjust this switch. There we go. He's either building up Roach Hydra or Mutilus or something like that to kill us now, or he's doing some sort of swift tech to Hive and doing Hivey things. So we're going to see, if we come back to here, remember these gateway pushes? This will help us identify the big, huge push that might be coming, and we can easily recall out at any point in time. We're keeping an eye on him, and we see, like, you know, the Hive morphing in. We also see some more units, like Roach Hydra being constructed in the middle here. We're just getting that sense. So when we come up to... Oops, I moved too far forward in time. Nope. When we come back to here at 1420, we can truly see what all these pieces are for. The tech switch to Tempests. Lives in the Stargate. Most importantly, we switch to Templar, so we can storm and feedback, should he get any Vipers up there. We also see the Colossus for just the usual ground stuff. All these big variety of tech paths are because our opponent was teching up to Hive really fast and not trying to kill us right away. If it did seem like Jaedong was trying to kill us right away, well, great. We would have spotted it with these things. We would have begun building out of these warp gates, and then we can add on some more gateways. SOS is leaving a lot of options open, and this pullback with the counter with the warp prism is really slick. Losing the +2 stinkers, it like totally sucks and is really bad. There's these continued pushes here, and SOS really just identifies what's going on and then just goes into super duper crazy passive mode. This is like really kind of a miracle win. I think that this game was played, it's one of the best games I've ever seen a Zerg play in my life. Even though he eventually lost, we can see why Colossus are so good on this map and one of the reasons why SOS went for those. You see the Templar is sort of abating the aggression, it's not really stopping it. But all the warp gates are warping in at these bases. Everything else is just tech kind of chilling at home. And look at this continued round out of the tech. Double forge for upgrades. I think this is something that wasn't talked about as much with the commentary. I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. So, I mean, all these moves by Jaedong are just more stuff going wrong. More things going awry, more pain happening. But look at SOS, who sent this probe out very early to build these pylons, who's using this warp prism to his advantage. Because they're so freaking fast now. And meanwhile, back home, it is the most upgrade freaking heavy, big unit heavy Protoss of all time. And everything else is just reducing expo count as best he can. Except Jaedong is playing just sickeningly well. But it's okay, still. I mean, we see how this is doing some good work. You know, it's doing good. Zealots, or in other words, minerals, all being warped in over here. Gas being all warped in up here. Normally, I'm a player who favors more gateways. Both personally and like professionally as a commentator when I'm watching. The wins will happen far more often when a player is aggressive and beating down his opponent with lots of gateways. But that's only true if you're in an aggressive position. SOS, who sort of hold back up defensively, really needs to be able to build power units fast. Immortals, Colossus. I mean, SOS has been as far out on the map as he reasonably can be, with warp prisms and counterattacky pylons. Every time he has an attack up at his own base, more warpings in. And by and large, just chilling. Chilling in his base. Yeah. 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 More gateways getting added in. The only minerals that have really been spent at home in the base are the warp gates. And little things like this I love about SOS. Of course, the 3/3 upgrades, trying to stay ahead or even with Zerg upgrades. But where is it? He rebuilt it. There it is. +1 air weapons. Just providing him the option to twist over into Tempests. So the theme that we're seeing out of SOS is he did all these nice aggressive maneuvers, but because he's been held back, he is slowly replacing all his supply with a big, brutal endgame mega army. Look at how few Stalkers are here. Now, I know 13 is kind of a lot of Stalkers, just generally speaking, but for the amount of time that SOS could have been building Stalkers, this is very, very small. This is only 26 supply. And you look at the entire army supply of SOS, it's about a third. And he wants the Stalkers to be as low a portion of this army as possible. SOS has to be super careful about these kinds of engagements. We see the Stargate fleet beacon stuff kind of coming up. He's just preparing himself for all these possible transitions, and we can see how desperately low he is. I'm going to speed this up because even though this is like amazing defense from SOS, it's a pretty straightforward endgame. Like, this is so impressive to me about SOS that he's preparing all these tech switches. Look, he's already getting pulse crystals. This is another sort of odd choice. I'd be going passive all the way. Immortal Colossus Archon is what I'd be shooting for with Zealot counter warp-ins. But just as a little extra bonus, he throws out some Phoenixes just to abate the Mutas threat slightly, but most importantly to actually be able to do attacking. Seeing of the double spire kind of helps identify this. But let's see, there we go. We're starting to see some Immortal Archon get produced. SOS is waiting patiently, expanding patiently, building Immortals patiently, has 3/3 right now. Even if Zerg is ahead in those upgrades, 3/3 is still 3/3. Yeah, I guess this is the only significant thing to talk about right now. I can probably speed it up a little bit. But we're starting to see that in terms of the unit count, Stalker count stayed fairly constant. Sentry count has stayed fairly constant. The only thing that's really being warped in are Zealots and big things like Archons. This you don't need to do. He's going to get the Void Ray and like just kill off that base, which kind of cracks me up. It's like every tech humanly imaginable SOS throws down. Every single one frickin' possible in the world. There's even the Phoenixes there. What? And dude, Todd was losing his mind at this point in time. He's like, oh my god, he's gonna kill Overseers and go DTs. Oh my god. And I think the only way I can convey the brilliance of this move by SOS is to just skip around in time. His gas count has been very high, but he's left it relatively open. He's left it relatively high the entire time. And then only in like the last 3 or 4 minutes did he spend all of it building those Archons. It wasn't a gradual add-in of Archons. So, I mean, there's 2 right now. Look how much gas he has. He's just leaving it open. Just in case the big attack happens, he wants to be able to have the luxury to warp in. Big gas-heavy units like Stalkers or maybe even Colossus. So he's just chilling on the high gas, chilling, waiting. Wants to eventually get Archons, but it's better to just leave the supply open for him right now. Little supply block. Oh, yep, let's go ahead and do a little bit of harassment. Leaving it open, leaving it open, leaving it open, leaving it open. And you know what? At this last point, oh, here it comes, here it comes. He's just going to go bam. Floods in a bunch of Templar. Added to blue. And he's going to do another round right here after he gets the warp-in round available. There it is. Just suddenly exploded out 4 Archons. Makes it very difficult for SOS to be able to actually answer it properly. And then upon getting this money mix, 7 Immortals, 6 Archons, 4 Colossus, and a couple of Templar for the random deets. SOS just wins with 1 attack. So here is the hardest judgment call to make ever in any game. How to split your army up. Before we go into that, I just want to do a brief recap because I think that the SOS appreciation can't quite be enough. Early attack with the cannon rush set Jaedong in different locations. Followed up with a gateway push that he just retreated when he saw Hydralisks, but got a few more stalkers and pushed again. This allows SOS to see, of course, any weakness that he can exploit, but also allows him to get a head start against any big Roach Hydra all-in bust or a fast Spire bust. While that was going on, SOS got all the rest of the tech. Colossus with range, Twilight Council, and a Stargate. Stargate kind of stayed still for a while, and when Jaedong saw the Hive, he even got a Templar Archives. In essence, Jaedong's saying, if you're getting Hive, all that high-tech stuff, I'm going to need Templar for feedbacks. I want to make sure that I have my Tempest available and my Phoenix available for the big Muta switch. And a lot of this is working strictly because this is Akalon Waste and he can defend with a few Colossus very well. And then all we've been seeing SOS do is do Zealot Warp-in counterattacks, Mineral-only counterattacks, using Hallucination a lot, until he can eventually build up to this big Death Army. And the Archons were the last thing to get pulled in. 6 Archons, the last 4 were built within 90 seconds. Very cool. So when seeing this sort of like, oh, he's clearly trying to like base race me, I so dearly admire the way that SOS splits his stuff up. There's big AoE damagers in each force here. This is probably the most passive force because it has fewer core units in it. But I mean, the ability to split up into 3 locations right away is super sick. But there's no units rushing up here. These 3 split forces are staying really close together. I mean, for instance, these units didn't run down here. I mean, this is at max range, barely shooting at this. And then everything still regroups together. The sickest split up pullback ever. And look at this. Just barely killing that. And then coming all the way back. All the while, SOS already has the Anion Pulse Crystal, which is the range. Already has the 3 Stargates done. And we can see, how can you even afford to throw down that much stuff as SOS? Well, you can see it in the efficiency tab. Units lost tab. Kept so many units alive for so long that he's actually able to do this. Now, SOS isn't splitting up as much as we saw players like Trap split up, or Deer split up. That's because SOS just killed off 3 bases in one fell swoop, and then he let his army protect his own army. SOS doesn't have the luxury to be able to like do a huge split and lose units, because this is his only resources. Let me see Phoenix's en masse being produced. This is really smart. Look at this. Templar in the main. Nothing at the front. Because this is obviously just totally wide open. Ultraling just marches up and kills that. Doom, 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 doom. And then there's going to be cleanup from here. Very hard game for SOS. Played it absolutely exquisitely. Protoss is the best. Woohoo! Alright, cool. That was good. Which game did I want to watch next? I don't know which one I really want to watch. I swear, I love that more than anything. You know what, let's go ahead and watch the game on Frost, one of the most standard looking games out there, when we come back. And then when we come back, we're going to admire more attacking. We'll even do a short bonus game as well. See you in a sec. Doom, doom, doom.
On a break.